This is a video for RPGaDay for 2016, an idea created by Autocratic and this year sponsored by the RPG Brigade. This response is from the Casting Shadows blog and channel. Today's video is for day 22 of RPGaDay, although it could, I suppose, be just as suitable for tomorrow. But I'm going to use it today and share something else tomorrow. Today's question for RPGaDay is about supposedly random events, but they keep recurring. You know, the rolling on a chart and getting the same result again and again, that sort of thing. And that's exactly this sort of tale I'm about to tell. But first, we need to set the stage a little bit and take a look at one of my favorite fantasy settings. What you're looking at is a small part of the Palladium fantasy world. This is the Timero Kingdom, and this map is one I found on DeviantArt. I'm not going to try and pronounce the username, but I think it's pretty fantastic. Now, this green line, this is the sea route that I once began a campaign with. We were heading to the Eastern Territories. However, a storm was the opening scene, and the group crashed here on the coastline, not too far from Tainith at Nissi. And after the crash, the group sort of figured out where it wanted to go and decided to head toward the Old Kingdom. And this is the crazy route that we traveled back and forth all over the place for one reason: wolves. This campaign took place back when I was in college, millions and millions of years ago. I was in school with some dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. And, well, you know, we had a pretty large group. At its peak, it had a regular 7 people. Sometimes there was 11. You know, there were some flakes on the outside of the group. But basically, we have this very large party. These are the people who have been shipwrecked on the coastline, southern coast of Timero. And they're, of course, on the far side, away from all the sorts of civilization that Timero is famous for. And there's an awful lot of open space between the larger communities. And now, of course, they're heading into the Eastern Territories, but where they were heading was, you know, one of the larger centers there. So this is not really a group that's well designed for overland travel. And yet, as a group, they make a decision, okay, you know, screw this. According to this ancient map we have, and the bad reading of the ancient map that they made, their best option, now out of money, unable to get new sea passage, is to go overland up to the border with the Old Kingdom and then head off toward the Eastern Territory, which was utter madness. But, you know, there were circumstances. So anyway, this exposes them to an awful lot of environmental challenges, such as checking for what kind of encounters they might have in the wilderness. Now, the Monsters and Animals book for Palladium Fantasy is incredible, with its, you know, its maps of where you might actually find certain creatures, and being able to build random tables or use ones that are provided is pretty easy. Now, all of this overland journey is just being, you know, being run. It's a sandbox campaign. We've got Book 2, the Timero Kingdom, the old ones. You know, we've got all of these places in great detail. So it's just a question of role-playing the journey, day after day after day of play. And they slowly, over many, many months, followed that beautiful green route that I have shown you, back and forth and back and forth. Now, they just wanted to go north. They wanted to head toward the Old Kingdom, but they kept having encounters with wolves. And these are totally random encounters. I mean, after the first one, I thought was pretty cool. You know, a wolf attack, that's kind of interesting. And we hadn't been playing Palladium Fantasy very long. It was still a real threat. It was a natural threat. Made the Timero Kingdom feel real somehow. And we go through the wolf attack, and it was brutal. And then there was another random encounter with wolves. This was a pretty big random encounter table that I was using, and yet we got wolves again, and then again, and then again. And there were a couple of moments where there were interactions with carnivorous plants are also a recurring theme, as I recall. But basically, the group would be traveling and got the sense that they were continually being followed by this pack of wolves, and they would drive them off or disperse them or kill many of them, all be terribly injured, and have to move toward the nearest town or something to regroup and rest, heal, resupply, and so on. These wolves were just wreaking havoc on the supply train and whatnot. And it just kept happening. Week after week of play, month after month of play, as they traveled across this entire nation. And, the rest of that campaign is legendary. But the fact that it could go on so long, straight rolls, getting the exact same number over and over and over again, week after week, is something that sticks with me to this day and makes me smile. Tomorrow's question for day 23 of RPGaDay for 2016 is asking you to share one of your worst luck stories. Hopefully, this will be a pretty funny one. Want more? Do a search for the hashtag RPGaDay. You won't believe how much is out there.